Okay, so I watched The Rise of Skywalker and I hate it. It is a terrible, terrible Star Wars movie. I don't know how you did it, JJ, but you literally made the worst Star Wars movie. Holy Jesus. Yeah, I just got back from seeing the film. Literally hated it. It was 2 hours and 22 minutes of my life that I'll probably never get back. But yeah, the more you know. So yeah, the film, it's not good. God damn it. But first, a little bit of backstory. So, Rise of Skywalker still stated that it was going through reshoots. But then, the next thing you realise is that TLJ, Last Jedi, really did put this new thing in a corner. Like a big corner here. And The Rise of Skywalker tries to get out of that corner, but it doesn't do it well. And I'm gonna explain why. So, why is The Rise of Skywalker bad? Very bad, even. Well, number one, bringing back Palpatine. Okay, so imagine a scenario. Okay, you're back a couple months ago. The first Rise of Skywalker teaser trailer comes out. And at the end of the trailer, Palpatine laughs in it. Now, your first reaction might be that this is shocking and really cool, and then you think about it, and then you realise, wait, why the hell is he back? And this film, I think, explains why he's back, but it does a terrible job at that. So, Palpatine in this film is a bloody joke. He is a legit joke, because in the film, his appearance is literally GLaDOS from Portal 2. He's hanging on this, like, anchor thing, and he just looks like GLaDOS from Portal 2. And it looks so flipping funny, to the point where I pretty much just lost all hope for the film. And then the whole thing is that there's a plan where apparently Palpatine sent this guy with a knife to go kidnap Rey's parents to find out where Rey was. Apparently the whole point, spoiler alert, flipping Rey's grandparent is Palpatine, which was really obvious because there have been so many fan theories, and Jesus Christ, it is getting dark. 1 second. Okay, I'll fix now. Back to my point. So, the plan is that Rey is Palpatine's granddaughter, which was flipping obvious from the very beginning, because there have been so many Rey theories that pretty much no matter what point they went with who Rey was going to be, it was going to be disappointing. Let's admit that. It was going to be very disappointing. And again, these are just my first thoughts right now. But this, yeah. Another thing, apparently, is that Palpatine in the film shoots lots of lightning into the sky, and apparently all the ships are going haywire and all that. It's never really explained how the hell he can do that, because we've never seen anyone use force lightning in this type of style. It's normally like small to medium scale. On a large scale, that seems very impossible, and yet for some reason, it was possible, which made no damn sense. So, this film does what TLJ did. It kind of broke the mythos of the Force yet again, for some reason, and let's be clear, if you want to add something new to the Force, cool, but it has to be explained in some sort of way. You can't just show us something and expect us to go along with it. Because you tell us one thing and then you expect us to go along with it. It just doesn't work. And that's one problem I have. It just does not work. Bringing Palpatine... Okay, another problem I have with Palpatine, he was just brought back to boost the money. Let's be clear, Palpatine was just brought back to get some ticket sales. And even that didn't flip and work, because theatres, they weren't booked out, so Palpatine failed. Billy D. Williams, he was brought back, that failed, so... Yeah, another thing, Billy D. Williams, he is wasted in this. He's got a couple scenes in there, and it's just... That's it, that's all he's got. But yeah. Palpatine, he's not handled well, and I just found it ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Also, not to mention, Palpatine, the most powerful Sith, apparently, like, that we've seen in the Skywalker saga and all that. I hate saying that, Skywalker saga. I don't get it. It's pretty much stated that not many people could beat Palpatine. The only person in the saga who was able to beat Palpatine and yet still fail was Mace Windu, because Anakin interfered and then Mace Windu got flipping lightning thrown out of the window. Darth Vader, he was one... Darth Vader was only able to beat Palpatine because Palpatine got distracted, like, throwing lightning at Luke. Let's be clear, like, people can't... Like, Palpatine's demise was because of, him flipping getting Force lightning and all that. But another thing, I don't get how his body is still intact, because in Return of the Jedi, he falls down a chasm, and also, the Death Star 2 blows up. So how the hell is his body still pristine and no burns or anything? It doesn't make sense. They never really explain how he's back, but the things that are explained are from other people that we don't really care about, because Snoke, someone we wanted answers for, we do get an answer. We get an answer somehow. And apparently Palpatine made Snoke? I don't get how that works. And yet, for some reason, it's just brushed off because we've got to get to the next set piece. See, this film has a long runtime, but yet everything feels just rushed and all that. But yeah, Palpatine, not handled well. He is not handled well in the slightest. So, yeah. Thanks, JJ, you're ruining much already. Number 2, the story is pretty bland. Now, let me explain here. The plot of this film, in the crawl, it literally states that there's a message going out that claims that Palpatine is alive and he wants revenge. And then there's a chase. Then the film becomes a MacGuffin plot. The plot is literally just searching for these MacGuffins to get to the third act. And then I realised we were at the third act already. I was like, Jesus, that, it went that slow, and even I didn't know we were at the third act yet. Because when they got to the whole fleet of, like, Star Destroyers, that just threw me off. How the hell did he get all those Star Destroyers in pristine condition, no doubt, like, in that order? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't really explain much. And the story then becomes complicated once the MacGuffins are all found. Then it's time to go to the third act and beat Palpatine. It feels like a video game plot, which really sucks because even video game plots have been getting better at points now. So yeah, that really seems very stupid for a Star Wars film. Okay, number 3. It's too damn predictable. Because the fact is, Last Jedi was unpredictable and tried to subvert everyone's expectations. And it failed. This one tries to confirm lots of things, and it doesn't feel satisfying. We want something original, but we want to feel satisfied by it. Revealing that Rey was Palpatine's granddaughter doesn't feel earned. I mean, it sort of explains why she's really powerful with the Force, but it's never really further on explained. I mean, it's explained to an extent, but then the predictability just comes in. Another point of predictability is when it's revealed that Hux is the spy. Which, to be fair, was completely obvious. If you didn't think that Hux was the spy, I'm sorry, but it was obvious. And also, another thing, the impact of C-3PO coming back, getting his memory wiped, only for then R2-D2 to get his memory, to bring back his memory. What was the point of even saying his memory was going to be wiped in the first place? It seems too predictable. The predictableness of that was that, of course, his memory's going to get wiped, but what was the point of his memory being wiped if he was just going to get it back? So, yeah, that's another thing that just doesn't work. It just doesn't. Okay, number 4, this is pretty self-explanatory. The trilogy wasn't planned. It's clearly obvious that this film was a last-ditch effort to see that everything connects when it doesn't. See, if the goal was to get to Palpatine, why wasn't it hinted at in the beginning films? You could have hinted at it in The Force Awakens or Last Jedi, but you didn't. The thing is, with the original trilogy, things were hinted at. Like, the main goal, because the Emperor showed up in Empire Strikes Back and pretty much revealed that he was the big bad. He was the big one above Darth Vader, and he was the one that was going to... That was the main goal, that we had to do that. With this film, throwing Palpatine in just doesn't make any sense. Throwing him in there proves that this was a last-ditch effort to get people into this new trilogy when it wasn't. Because Force Awakens is technically a remake of A New Hope and all the other films smashed in there. Last Jedi, while trying to be something new, it just completely has plot elements from Empire. There are bits from Empire that are in it. For this film, it tries to be something different, but the fan service just clouds in. And then at the very end, it just felt... There was a bit where it just felt too much like Return of the Jedi. And the part I'm talking about is when the Emperor shows Rey all of the Resistance failing. That just felt too much like Return of the Jedi. And it just didn't work. Because it didn't seem like there were stakes in the slightest. Number 5, this film really does like showing things that Force powers are pretty much shown in some sort of way where they haven't been explained before. For example, the bit where they say there was a bit where apparently the bond between Rey and Kylo was strong and that it could heal people. I just was confused at that point. And then Kylo could apparently heal Rey from death and bring her back to life? I'm sorry, what? How does that work? I'm sorry, Rey should have faded from the Force, faded into a Force ghost at that point. I'm just saying. If Obi-Wan can get slaughtered down and become a Force ghost immediately, Yoda, he passes away, a couple seconds later, boom, he fades away and becomes a Force ghost. Then, the same thing with Kylo. He dies because he traded his life for Rey, which, to be fair, I don't even know how that made sense. And then the next thing you know, apparently, why didn't Rey fade away? It just doesn't make sense. And also another thing I mentioned before with Palpatine shooting lightning, like a big force of lightning up at the sky. It just didn't make much sense. See, the Force powers in this new trilogy haven't really been explained well to an extent. There are Force powers we know, and then there are these new Force powers which haven't been explained properly to the point where it leaves the audience confused. And that is a pretty big flaw for this. Okay, another point, which is number 6. The jokes are not funny. For example, there's a bit... Everyone saw this, the one where they say they fly now 3 times.
Oh, they fly now!
They fly now?
They fly now!
Saying they fly now isn't that funny, because you should know that jetpacks do exist. It wouldn't be surprised that they would use the jetpacks. It doesn't.
They fly now!
Okay, another point that I have to add, there's a bit in the film where Finn says that he needs to tell Rey something, and then they get sucked into this quicksand-like thing. And then Rey asks what was he gonna say, and then he says, I'll tell you later. Never brought up again. That is never brought up again. And it's this mystery, it's probably that flippin' mystery box thing that JJ has, where he never opens that mystery box. Which really sucks, because JJ, he has setups, and then he never pays off. He never does a decent payoff, and it just flippin' backfires. This is a personal thing I have with the film. So, the guy who's meant to bring Rey in is apparently kills Rey's parents. But what I didn't get was, why didn't the guy working for Palpatine bring in Rey's parents to Palpatine so then they could be interrogated? Why didn't they do that? Why did he just kill them instantly? That's just like one little nitpick I had with it. Why would the guy do that? Why didn't he just bring them in? Why didn't he just bring them in? Okay, now this bit is about Luke. So Luke, he comes back as a Force ghost, which seemed pretty obvious. He was heard in the trailers. And then the next thing you know, apparently the X-Wing, he pulls the X-Wing out of the river with the same song, that piece of music that played when Yoda lifted the X-Wing out of the swamp waters on Dagobah in Empire. The problem with this bit is, what the hell? Luke, you could have pulled that out in The Last Jedi and could have helped them on Crate. Also, the people claiming that the X-Wing was broken, I don't know, that X-Wing looks pretty normal to me. That X-Wing looks flipping normal to me, so yeah. JJ says the X-Wing was working, so why the hell didn't Luke leave the island on The Last Jedi if the X-Wing was working? This doesn't... It just makes Luke... I know Luke is more bearable in this film. Let me be clear. He's a bit more like Luke Skywalker. But this just makes him from the last film look even lazy. So, instead of actually going to the island, leaving the island, instead of leaving the island to help all the resistance on Crate, he just did a force projection and then died. What the hell? It doesn't make it heroic, it just makes Luke look lazy. Why? Okay, also another point I forgot to mention is that all of the new Star Destroyers, they have, mini Death Star cannons. Which is pretty confusing. Why is everyone using the whole Death Star concept? It was used again in Force Awakens, and now it's being used again. What is JJ's obsession with using the Death Star again? More importantly, how the hell did they make a new Death Star cannon? And, put it on all other Star Destroyers? What? Nothing is explained in this. It's just nothing. And another thing at the end of the film is when Rey gets asked who is she, and then she takes and says that I'm Rey Skywalker. But the thing is, it doesn't feel like it was earned to use that name. And I know the whole theme about this film is that blood doesn't really define who you are because of Palpatine and all that rubbish. But throughout this whole trilogy, it just feels like Rey never really earned the title of Skywalker in the slightest. You can throw all the Jedi voices in there saying that she can do this, but it doesn't make her feel like she's earned it. That's the thing I wanted to get down. Another thing that didn't feel earned was the ending. Everything in the trilogy wasn't earned. Because this trilogy wasn't planned, and because the middle seemed very pointless at the end of the day, it just comes off as a trilogy that didn't have things that made it feel earned. Because the ending did not feel earned in the slightest. And it just doesn't work. It just doesn't. Also, this is a funny thing. So, okay, this is a thing I wanted to get down. Alright, so hear me out. This is a crazy conspiracy theory here. So, Rey is the granddaughter of Palpatine, and apparently it was revealed that Palpatine may have made Anakin's mother pregnant. So, that would make Anakin's father Palpatine, right? Hear me out on this. So, whoever Palpatine was doing this with, so Palpatine probably did it with another person, which led to the son of Palpatine. That would mean that Rey and Kylo could either be nephews or cousins. That's not good, because at the end of the film, the whole Reylo thing is then confirmed, which is bloody ridiculous. I'm not even going to say that, because I have terrible thoughts about that. And then, it popped up the thought, they could be related. How it should have ended, have made jokes about that. And they can't, and they probably could be. I just don't get it. This is too confusing. This isn't really a natural review in any way, because I had to get my thoughts down about this stupid film. And now I'm wishing I kind of did write a script, but whatever. Whatever, alright? Just whatever. And, you're probably wondering if I have any things that I like about this film. Well, the John Williams score, not really memorable, but it does sound nice. And yeah, that's it. I'm not gonna lie, I did not like much about this film. I hated more than I liked. And yeah, that's what I thought. I probably might do this again in another time, but yeah. Rise of Skywalker. It is really, really bad. If I had to give it a rating, it would be a 3 out of 10. Yep, I'm gonna give Rise of Skywalker a 3 out of 10. It was not good. It was not good in the slightest. Things from TLJ and the other films, they didn't mix well, and it didn't go well. So yeah, that's what I thought about Rise of Skywalker. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go back on a little hiatus. I'm gonna go back on my Joker review hiatus, so, yeah, see you.
They fly now!